British spooks could launch cyber strikes on North Korea after Theresa May refused to rule out future military action or a secret, high-tech attack on Pyongyang. The Prime Minister left the door open to web warfare waged from the shadows following the latest provocative missile test by Kim Jong-un's rogue regime. And she called on China, the dictator's only regional ally, to bring the pariah state to heel. Mrs. May said, "They have a key role to play in putting pressure on North Korea to stop the illegal actions that North Korea is taking." The Tory leader spoke to journalists on a planned trip to Japan after North Korea fired a ballistic missile over the country's island of Hokkaido. She will reportedly have to take part in a Japanese-style duck-and-cover drill if another missile is fired during her visit. North Korean despot Kim Jong-un has already threatened more action by saying the test was a prelude to containing the U.S. Pacific territory of Guam. Within hours of Mrs. May's remarks, the UN Security Council, including China, unanimously condemned the missile test as outrageous. But the Council's statement last night did not include new sanctions which Britain had hoped would be raised. Stepping up her criticism of Pyongyang, Mrs. May added, "They are significant actions of provocation. I think they're outrageous. That's why we will be working with our international partners, as we have done previously. But we will be redoubling our efforts with our international partners to put pressure on North Korea to stop these illegal activities." She admitted the crisis over North Korea test firing a ballistic missile which experts believe is capable of carrying a nuclear warhead could top the agenda during talks. "A trip to Japan at this time gives me a particular opportunity to sit down with Prime Minister Abe and talk to him about this issue," she said. And she refused 3 times to rule out either military action or a stealth cyber assault against Pyongyang, which has been accused of major cyber hacking. Defense Secretary Sir Michael Fallon told military experts earlier this year that the UK would engage in offensive cyber activity when needed. Mrs. May did not deny Britain could use online tactics to target Pyongyang. But she added, "What we are doing is working with our international partners. We want to continue to bring pressure on North Korea. We want to ensure that they desist this action. We see the best way of doing that is for China to be bringing pressure to bear on North Korea." Pyongyang's latest missile, launched early on Tuesday by Kim's secretive regime, flew for an estimated 1,677 miles and traveled over Japan's Hokkaido Island before crashing into the Pacific Ocean. The weapon was thought to be a Song-12, a newly developed, intermediate-range missile. Donald Trump said the world has received North Korea's latest message loud and clear as global leaders came to terms with a new test. The United Nations Security Council was in emergency session debating the North Korea missile crisis as Mrs. May's plane cruised towards Asia. She touched down about 6 a.m. UK time and will watch wheelchair basketball, visit a helicopter carrier and sip tea as she tries to pave the way for a post-Brexit trade deal with Japan. As well as holding crunch talks over North Korea's missile test, the Prime Minister wants to lay the ground for a pact with the country which already has 1,000 companies employing 140,000 people in the UK. Mrs. May aims to make progress on the shape of post-Brexit trade and investment relationship with Japan, Number 10 said last night. A trade pact struck between the EU and Tokyo would hopefully form the basis of a deal between the UK and Japan, Downing Street added. International Trade Secretary Liam Fox is accompanying the PM, who is traveling without husband Philip. Representatives of 15 business and industry organizations are accompanying Mrs. May, including industry chiefs from Aston Martin, the Scotch Whisky Association and Barclays Capital Investment. The Director General of the Confederation of British Industry, Caroline Fairbairn, is also on the delegation. The PM's spokeswoman said, "This is a group of highly experienced business leaders and businesses who already have a foothold in Japan." Mrs. May will travel with Japanese PM Shinzo Abe to Tokyo aboard a 200 mph bullet train for the 3-hour, 30-minute journey from Kyoto to Tokyo. The pair previously met at last month's G20 in Hamburg, at the PM's country retreat Chequers in April, and at the United Nations General Assembly in New York last year. They will take part in a traditional matcha tea ceremony today, and tomorrow they will visit the Japanese Navy's 27,000-ton Izumo helicopter carrier, where Mrs. May will be given a briefing from Japanese and UK military officers. She will also become the first European leader to attend a meeting of Japan's National Security Council, which No. 10 described as a privilege and an honor.